It took only 14 minutes for the atmosphere inside the Ziggo Dome to change. Two unexpected figures appeared, Park Jimin and Jungkook. In an instant, the closing night of BTS's Jin European tour in Amsterdam became more than just a farewell show. It became a live historical act that no one in the audience could have predicted. How could one sighting of two bandmates trigger such a seismic reaction? And what does their unannounced presence mean for BTS's future? The last night of Jin's tour has attracted record-breaking attention. The Ziggo Dome filled to capacity hours before its doors officially opened, with fans gearing up for a show filled with farewell emotion. Setlist unknown. Rumors of a possible surprise have been circulating for days. But nothing as bold as what was revealed when the stage lights briefly shifted during Jin's second song, revealing Jimin and Jungkook standing in the wings, their silhouettes instantly recognizable to anyone who has followed BTS for the past decade. The reaction of the crowd was immediate and deafening. Light sticks shot into the air, fans shouted names until the sound broke out, and even those who had broadcast live from the audience lost their composure. For a split second, Jin looked off guard, his eyes widening in front of his mouth, curling into a grin that brought distrust and arrogance. Without hesitation, she asked the two to join her on stage. The roar that followed was unlike any other sound Ziggo Dome had heard this year. Those present described the volume as physically overwhelming, a wall of sound that seemed to press inward from all sides. Jimin stepped forward first, his movements measured, but his expression lit up with warmth. Jungkook followed, radiating the energy of someone who had just changed the entire narrative of the concert. Both wore dark, earthy clothes, as if turning their attention to the moment rather than themselves. From that moment on, the concert trajectory changed completely. What had been a carefully planned solo show turned into a dynamic reunion. The energy between the three is undeniable. Jin, usually the sole focus on this tour, adjusts seamlessly to sharing the spotlight. Jimin added harmony to the ballad which, until tonight, is performed as a work in itself. Jungkook's voice breaks into the chorus of the up-tempo song, making the audience feel waves of movement and other noise. The decision to perform without prior announcement was strategic. Their entry takes place at a point on the set where the audience is emotionally invested but not yet exhausted, ensuring maximum impact. Industry analysts who attended the event noted that such a move was a calculated distraction, breaking the expected rhythm of the night to inject a surge of adrenaline impossible to replicate through production alone. In the middle of the performance, Jin speaks to the audience. His voice is stable, but his tone carries significant weight. She talks about gratitude, the moments that matter, and the importance of being here, now. Although he did not elaborate, his gaze towards Jimin and Jungkook made clear the subtext. It's not just support, it's solidarity. The show continued with a mix of Jin's solo hits and impromptu group moments. One of the most striking is the acoustic part, without a backing track, where the three share a single microphone. The intimacy of the moment contrasts sharply with the scale of the venue, creating an atmosphere where even the back row feels connected to the stage. Cameras in the crowd captured the emotion seen on all three faces, a fleeting smile, a stiffened jaw, and eyes that lasted longer than the norms of the show dictate. By the time the encore arrived, the crowd was operating at an energy level far beyond the opening. The chants alternated between Jin, Jimin, and Jungkook, then coalesced into a unified roar of BTS that echoed throughout the hall. When the final note faded, the three stood together in silence for a few seconds, letting the audience's voices dominate. It was not an end in the traditional sense. It was a suspension, as if no one wanted to accept that the moment would soon pass. Outside the Ziggo Dome, the reaction was instantaneous and worldwide. Within minutes, social media platforms were flooded with footage, each clip generating millions of views in a matter of hours. Fans who did not attend the event expressed admiration and envy, while those in attendance described it as once in a lifetime. The phrase "last concert" now feels inadequate. It has become something much larger than the conclusion of the tour. The unanswered questions remain as powerful as the events themselves. Is this a symbolic gesture of unity ahead of BTS's new phase? A one-off emotional delivery for Jin's solo era? Or was it a deliberate signal that the individual paths of the members did not diverge as far as many assumed? The lack of official comment only deepens the intrigue, ensuring that speculation will dominate fan and industry discourse for the foreseeable future. What is undeniable is that the last concert in Amsterdam did not just close the tour. It shattered expectations, redefined what a farewell show should look like, and rekindled collective anticipation for what BTS would reveal next. Ziggo Dome, in its entire history of hosting world-class performances, may never again witness such a convergence of surprise, emotion, and cultural significance on this scale. For Jin, the night was a highlight proof that his solo work remains strong and that his relationship with his bandmates remains unbreakable. For Jimin and Jungkook, it was an act of presence, a reminder to millions that they remain part of the same story. And for fans, it's a reminder that in BTS's world, the most unforgettable moments are often the ones that no one sees. Even as the final applause shook the steel framework of the Ziggo Dome, the ripple effect of the appearance was already spreading far beyond Amsterdam. In Seoul, fan cafes and forums lit up with threads dissecting every angle, every glance, every unscripted exchange between the three members. Analysts in the K-pop industry began drafting think pieces within hours, some labeling the moment as a turning point for BTS's post-hiatus trajectory. The data tells its own story. Within 20 minutes of the concert ending, Jimin and Jungkook trended simultaneously in more than 40 countries. Clips of their entrance gained over 10 million combined views before the night was over, making this arguably the most talked-about concert moment in BTS's solo era. Streaming platforms reported a surge in plays for both Jin's solo releases and tracks from the group's earlier discography, as fans chased the emotional connection that the night had reignited. From a performance standpoint, the sudden collaboration was a masterclass in live show disruption. No pyrotechnics preceded their arrival. No scripted lighting change warned the audience. It was the absence of spectacle that made it unforgettable, a move that relied entirely on the shock value of identity and timing. This was not about gimmicks, it was about presence. That choice magnified the authenticity of the moment, ensuring that it would be replayed endlessly without losing its impact. What stood out most was the body language. Jimin's quick glance toward Jin during a sustained note, Jungkook's habit of scanning the crowd, as if making sure every person in the venue saw him standing there. Jin's occasional pause, the kind that lets an audience know he is memorizing the scene before him. These subtle signals formed an unspoken narrative of connection and resilience, one that no press release could match. Security and event staff, trained for high-intensity fan reactions, found themselves adapting in real time. The wave of audience movement toward the stage was immediate yet surprisingly controlled, a testament to the respect and discipline of the fandom. Still, even seasoned crew members admitted afterward that they had never seen energy levels rise so sharply, so suddenly, in the middle of by the end of the night. Fans outside the venue who had gathered just to hear the muffled echoes from inside were also swept up in the phenomenon. When the doors opened, the flood of concertgoers carried the news into the Amsterdam streets with the urgency of breaking headlines. Taxis, trams, and late-night cafes filled with voices reliving the moment second by second, each account laced with disbelief and adrenaline. In retrospect, the decision to attend Jin's final concert was more than a gesture of camaraderie. It was a strategic and emotional alignment. The members did not need to say it directly. They remain interconnected, their paths destined to converge again in ways that defy industry predictions. In a world where schedules, contracts, and personal projects pull artists in separate directions, the sight of Jimin and Jungkook sharing the stage with Jin was proof that some bonds resist fragmentation. As dawn approached, the city began to quiet, but the digital world did not. Fan edits, translations, and frame-by-frame analyses were uploaded at a pace too fast for algorithms to process. Every detail, the clothes they wore, the setlist changes, the final group bow, became a data point in a larger narrative. Theories flourished. Was this a precursor to an earlier-than-expected reunion? Was there a hidden message in their song choices? Or was it simply the purest form of support between friends who have lived an extraordinary decade together? Whatever the answer, the reality is this. 14 minutes was all it took to change the story of Jin's farewell show from a singular closing chapter into a shared milestone. The Ziggo Dome will return to hosting its regular lineup of world tours, but for those who stood inside its walls last night, no stage, no lighting, no headliner will ever match the shockwave that came when two familiar figures walked into view.